Perfect. All right. So for everyone who has joined, welcome again. The reason why I started this masterclass was because I started getting tons of emails last year from a lot of people saying that, hey, Aramide, I have so many goals. I have so many things that I want to do, but I just can't bring myself to execute. Like, I don't even know how to set my goals. I'm held back by procrastination. I'm not able to be consistent in the right habits. And we dealt with that last week, right? I'm not able to be consistent in the right habits. This is holding me back. These and that are holding me back. And so I wanted to do this session at the first quarter of this year so that 2023 is a year where I don't get such emails, right? And I'm glad that the session that we started last week was very helpful for a lot of people. And I'm very hopeful that today's will even be better, right? So I'm just going to introduce our speaker because she's someone who's, our entire journey is an inspiration in itself, right? And I used to look through our posts on LinkedIn, just a silent follower looking through. And, when I asked my email list to sort of nominate speakers that we could use, that could come in to share their experience, right? I saw her name there and I'm like, okay. And it was so easy to reach out to her because I knew that she's someone who, if there's anything that she's going to share in today's session, is something that is practical for her. Like, she's not just going to give you theory, right, and vague things. She's literally sharing her life. And that was something that I made sure for every speaker that I invited to come in here. I made sure that these were not people who would give you these things in theory. These were people who had these things producing results. Like, they already had a high level of result for themselves, and it is now time. They have now grown to a point where they can now pass down all these things that have helped them to other people so that they can benefit from. All right, so let me just go through her bio because you're going to be inspired by her bio and everything that she's doing. And I know for me, I just became a new mom, and because of that, I'm having to juggle a lot of things. And so for me, reading a bio, it just shows me a lot of possibilities, right? Even for myself at this level. And I know that you also be inspired by a bio and the entire, like, everything she's going to share today. So today we have in the room Mrs. Edememe Oladiji-Wusu. She's a lover and a follower of Jesus Christ. Her desire is that people, especially women, evolve into their most significant selves and experience the fulfillment that comes from living the full and amazing life that God has ordained for them. This desire drove her to becoming a goal achievement coach. Wow. Like, ain't you at the right place at the right time? She helps ambitious career women in their 30s to achieve their personal goals before they turn 40. So if you want to smash your personal goals before you're 40, you're in the right room, okay? And if you're a career person that wants to move fast, then I'm glad you're here already. Married to the love of her life, Oladiji, and blessed with amazing children, a great career, and a thriving life. She believes that women can and should have it all. Wow. She is a sought-after speaker and seasoned professional with 14 years of varied and progressive experience across tax, human resources. She currently serves as the senior manager in one of the big 4 firms in Nigeria. Edememe was recently recognized as one of the top 100 career women in Nigeria in 2022, and she was selected as a Tony Elumelu mentee, nominated for the Strategic African Women in Leadership 2021 Trailblazers Award, and awarded Coach of the Year 2021 by the Iconic Brands Award. Wow, this is already amazing, right? And everything about a bio just shows me possibilities, that I can be everything that God has called me to be, and I can thrive in every place that I am. Like, at every sphere of influence that I am, I can thrive as a wife, a mom, in my work. Everything I want to do, I can have it all. And I'm excited that she's here today. Hi, Edememe. Good evening. Oh, oh, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. No. We can't hear you. Or is it just me? Please let me know in the chat.
Can anyone hear me?
Perfect. We can hear you now.
Oh,
Hello.
I was going to ask what went wrong because when we did the testing, you could hear me perfectly.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, great.
We can all
Okay, you
hear
hear me
now.
now. Okay, thank God. Good evening, Aramide, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for showing up. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right, so let's start and get right into it. So one question I like to ask everyone who comes here and who is going to come here is that, you know, I was saying a quote. I didn't learn that quote completely again. Can you imagine? But they always say that the process of a success story or a successful person.
The secret of men is in their stories.
Thank you. Thank you. There was nobody here that would correct me last week. And, you know, I should have been a good student to go and learn, but I didn't. Right. But like you just said it, the secret of successful people are in their stories. And there's something else that is saying that the secret of successful people are also in their daily routines. There are things that successful people do every time. It doesn't even have to be every day, but it has to be over and over and over and over and over and over for them to get to where they are right now. And so just briefly, can you just walk us through what your daily routine looks like? Because you have such an impressive bio. You're doing so well, right? You're managing your home excellently, you know, raising your children at this time. And you're also a senior manager at the Big Four, which is, wow, like how? So can you just walk us through what does your daily routine look like? What do you do every day to, you know, just to evolve to being this kind of woman that you are right now? Can't hear you anymore. No, I can't.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I had to take out the mic. I'm not sure what's happening. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
You can still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll just project a little more. It's difficult to answer this question without like giving honor to my husband, right? My husband is in fact, I was going to say he's a morning person, but he's a morning, afternoon, night person. I am not a morning person, right? So most times, by the time I wake up, the children are already having breakfast. I have two daughters. They are 6 and they are 6 and 3. They're going to be 7 and 4 by mid-year. So my husband wakes up, prays for them. He wakes them up, they say their prayers, then they come to the sitting room for breakfast. And it's about that time that I wake up, right? So from when I wake up, I say my prayers, I read my Bible, and then I come to join them when they're having breakfast. And my husband beats them because I'm slow in the mornings. And it's important to know what works for you. Yes, shout out to Mr. Oladiji-Wusu. Yeah, so in the mornings, he really helps me. And then by the time we're done dressing them up, both of us take them to school. That's an important part of our routines. We take them to school, and then after that, work starts for both of us, right? I work from home on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and go to the office on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if it's a day I have to go to work, then I'll be on my way to work. But when I get to work actually starts. There's a 1 hour break in between for lunch. And then by the time work is over, which depends on the intensity of the work, right? There's some days it's 5, there's some days it's not 5, right? And then after that, most times the children will come back from school around 2. I try to use my 1 hour lunch break to bond with them and then go back to work. And then when work is over, bond with them some more. This bonding is not possible every day, but I try to do that as much as I can. And as much as I can, maybe when we're talking out, also talk about the fact that it's fine to let some balls slide at some point. It's fine. Okay. Bond with them when I can. Other times I can't because I'm in meetings, for example. And then, but by the time the work day is over, bond with them again, bond with my husband when he comes back from work. And then when children go to sleep, it's okay. So which of my goals do I need to work on today? Yeah. And it's interesting how I've evolved, because if anyone had told me I was a night person, I wouldn't have believed it. I had a friend in university, she was my roommate. She kept saying, if parents could get dividends from having their children sleep in school, your parents would be rich by now. Like, that's how much I used to sleep at night. But these days I'm up till like 1, because my personal goals also deserve to sleep twice a day, right? So I've had to make certain adjustments in my routines, but that's fine, right? Because there's a bigger picture ahead. Yeah, so that's my daily routine most times.
Amazing, right? And, just to shed light on that, it's so important to lean in to your support systems.
Absolutely.
Right? So, yeah, so like from everything you shared right now, I see how, because you've leaned in, you're able to focus on other things while you're getting support, right? Which is really amazing. But, from reading your bio and everything you've shared, you're definitely juggling a lot of things, right? And, the way you just shared it is really like, okay, this is doable. But I know that there are some days that is like, oh my God, what's happening? And last week I was looking through, I saw someone wrote something, and the person was like, the fact that somebody is wearing the crown well does not mean that crown is not heavy. Right. And from your bio, you're wearing these crowns well. Like, you're wearing this crown well. It's literally sitting pretty on you. And so you're juggling different things. Being a wife, being a mom, you're a KPMG boss woman. And then I'm sure that, you're also a coach. You have your own coaching program, right? And I know that there are probably other things that you're involved in, other commitments that you have to, that you're putting your time in. How do you effectively manage your time? Because, I believe that if we're going to be productive and achieve our goals, there has to be that effective management of time, energy, and focus, right? We have 24 hours, but our energy and our focus, even the time as well, is limited, right? So for someone here who is juggling a lot of things, they are in school, they are working, they are doing so many other things at the same time. How do you effectively manage your time? Even when you have so many demanding things calling your attention, how do you effectively manage your time and achieve your goals without burning out?
Okay, that's a lovely question, and I like the practicality of the question. I think one thing that has really helped me is recognizing what season I am in and determining what is important in that season. Determining what season I am in and what is important in that season, right? You already said it, there are many balls that I juggle, right? One thing that helps me to be a better mom is the fact that I have a supportive husband, right? One thing that helps me to be a better employee is the fact that I have a great team at work, right? So it's also leaning into the support systems that I have. Once upon a time, I didn't like to ask for help because I thought, why? Everybody should know how to do these things. You of all people should know that you can be superwoman. But I found there was no award for superwoman.
Yes.
Exactly. So I began to lean into my support systems. So for example, I already said here, it's not every time that I can bond with my children as I like, because sometimes it might be the pressure of work, sometimes it might be the pressure of the other responsibilities that I have. But I've come to make peace with the fact that there are some sacrifices that must be made for the seasons that you are in. I'm not saying that you should just let the ball slide and move on. So when I know I've let the ball slide on a certain aspect of my life, then the next thing I'm thinking about is, how can I make this good? And so for most weekends, for me, I don't take speaking engagements on weekends. Or if I have to, it cannot be back to back. Sometimes it's once in a month, sometimes it's twice in a month. So I spend my weekends with my children, let them have my full attention on Saturdays and on Sundays. So make peace with the fact that some balls will slide. Just ensure that if it's the important balls that are sliding, you are asking yourself, How do I make good on this? How do I recover the time that I should have spent on this? Also recognize the seasons of your life where I have to juggle multiple responsibilities. Very soon I'll move to a season where the responsibilities will not be as much or will not require a lot of my time and energy as they require now. And then I would have to readjust. But right now, this season requires it. This season requires that I juggle. So sometimes when I have to turn down speaking engagements, it pains me, right? Because I'm big on impact. I like to share with people the knowledge that I have. I want people's lives to be transformed. But then I'm asking myself, at what cost? You couldn't hang out with your children a lot during the week. Ask them if they can move the dates. If they can move the dates, fine. If they cannot move the dates, that's fine as well. So, I don't know. Recognize the season that you're in, lean into your support systems, understand that it's okay to let some balls slide. And while you're working out, how would I recover the time and the energy that I should have spent on this? Put a mitigating plan in place and do that. Your mic is muted, Aramide.
Okay, sorry. That's so powerful. And I like, when you mention how important it is to recognize times and seasons, because this was exactly what we talked about last week.
Interesting.
Right? So I feel like this is just like a follow-up conversation, right? Recognizing your time and season is very important because it helps you to highlight your priorities, right? And I like, when you were sharing, you made mention how the fact that you want to have time dedicated for your children is important to you. And it makes me think about, wow, like we are not playing the purposeful life game. We're not playing it for the short term. It's for the long haul. And so you don't want to like the purposeful life is all encompassing. So it's not just about being there and a top performer at KPMG or being a great speaker that shares and impacts people, but it's also raising your family and giving them to your family, which is like the core of everything, right? And so it is like, I am building for the long haul and not for the short term. And because of that, I am not going to sacrifice what matters to me.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's what I'm hearing so clearly. And so if you're here and you're juggling a lot of things and you don't want to sacrifice what matters to you, your family, your children, if you're a student, probably your academics, you're interested in other things, business, right? It is important that you recognize that this is the time and season that I'm in. And because of this time and season, these are my priorities for this time and season. Last week I talked about the 12-week year, right? How when you have so many goals at the same time in a year, you can break it down into quarterly milestones. And so you know that every quarter, this is my priority for this quarter. And because at that time and season of that quarter, these are your priorities, you're able to focus on those things. And that way, you're not going to even be overwhelmed because everything you're focusing on at that time is your priority. And you don't even have to sacrifice what matters to you, right? So when you see, someone like Edememe who is doing this and that, and you're wondering, how are you everywhere? And you're not, breaking. It's because number one, she mentioned that she has a support system. But number two, she understands her time and season. And she has learned how to say no, which is so important, right? There are so many times that we sacrifice the things that matter to us in one time and season for other people's urgency because we don't know how to say no. Right? There's nothing wrong in saying no. There's nothing wrong in saying no. Okay. So there's sometimes that you have to make sacrifices just to become everything you want to be, just to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. And that's just a very powerful point, right? But then there are people who, have these goals, they have their goals listed out, right? But their issue is either they're dealing with paralysis analysis, or they don't know how to take action. Like they know what they want to do. They know that this thing, if I do it, my life is going to move to the next level. But they just can't bring themselves to take that action. And there's one good thing about taking the first step. Once you take the first step, it's easier for you. You can now take steps after that again and again and move forward and faster. But a lot of people find it difficult to take that first step. So how, I know that you're a goal achievement coach. So this is your, we're in your genius
zone.
So how do people, what are the practical things that people can do to take that first step and stop procrastinating? Because something I said last week was that your goal is attached to the next level of your life, right? You set that goal, and that goal is like, if I achieve that goal, you have moved to the next level. But if you're stuck, you're in that space and you can't move to the next level because you can't take action. So what are the practical tips that people can apply that will help them to take that step, that will give them the I don't even know the grammar to use, but what can people do to take that step? What will help them to take that first step? Okay,
great question again. And I think that this might just be the perfect time to share my story. So I said my career spans 14 plus years, right? And I work at a great place. Like, it's part of the 100 great places to work. So I have an amazing husband, wonderful children, great support system, great job. But sometime in 2020, when COVID happened, I found that I was being busy a lot because I wanted to cover up some voids in my heart. And some of us on this call might just be like that. You're doing everything but what you should be doing. And you're doing everything just trying to be busy so that you would forget that there's something in your heart that is crying out for expression. Okay. But when COVID happened, it forced us to slow down. And so there was little or nothing to keep me busy. There was no Lagos traffic 4 hours a day. Like, there was so much time to really sit back. And that period also showed us how fragile life is. Like, one can be here this moment and gone the next. So that period forced me to evaluate my life. And I'm thankful for that period. And it was in that period I realized, okay, Edememe, you have a lot going for you, yeah? But is this the best that you can be? Is this all that you can do? And I knew that the answer was a resounding. So I asked, and at that moment I was meditating on Philippians 3:12, I think, where Paul was saying that I may apprehend that for which I was apprehended. And I kept asking the Lord Jesus, what is it that you would have me do at this time? I'm sharing this story because most of the nuggets that I will share after are linked to the story. So by March 2021, I'd gone through a period of rewiring my mind and all of that. So by March 2021, my birthday is on 22nd of March. And I set my goals from my birthday, not from January, like normal people. So for the 22nd of March 2021 to 21st of March 2022, I had only one. And my goal was influence. I wanted to be known, to be liked, and I wanted to be trusted, right? I had a goal. But what was driving that goal was a vision. And my vision was, I have 2 daughters. We're still living in an age where people think the girl child has some limitations, right? People would walk up to me and ask, are you not going to try again for a son? And when I say I'm done, they're like, So every time that happens, it just reminds me that I don't want people projecting limitations on my daughters. And then I told myself, the only way that you can ensure that that doesn't happen is if you model possibilities to them, right? So my vision was, I want to be the mom that projects possibilities to my children, because what you behold, you become. I cannot say I want my children to think this way and act another way. It's not going to fall on them. So I want them to see me and see possibilities. And if somebody tells them, oh, you're a girl, you cannot, they're like, hello, have you seen my mom? Right? So that is my why. That is what drives me. And so my goal derived from my why. And I wanted to be known, I wanted to be liked, I wanted to be trusted. Because that is one of the ways to build a life of possibilities, a life of the limitlessness that I was looking for. Okay? In that 1 year, right? At the end of that 1 year, I'd been recognized as Coach of the Year. As at that time, I didn't even have a coaching certification. I was recognized as one of the top 100 career women in Nigeria 2022. And at this time, I'd been in the career space for more than 10 years. But that year, I was recognized. I must have done something different that year, right?
Yeah.
I was also selected as one of the Tony Elumelu mentees. Tony Elumelu just put on LinkedIn and asked people to select people who are doing great, bold and audacious women who are making a difference in their communities, in their careers and in business. I was nominated, right? I was also nominated for the Strategic African Women in Leadership Trailblazers Awards. And then by my next birthday, year 37, 22nd of March 2022 to 21st of March 2023, I had only one goal, and the goal was impact. Again, linked to my vision of possibilities and limitlessness that I need to show my girls. If I were presenting slides, I have screenshots of the impact messages that I get almost every day. On Christmas Day, I got a message from someone saying, this is the first year that I'll achieve more than 70% of my goals. And your goal hack workshop made that possible. I think that one of the ways where you can set yourself up for success, because that's actually what your question is about. How can you set yourself up for success? Is about having a vision. Where do you see yourself? What kind of life you want to live? Where do you see yourself? What would you like to be remembered for when you die? You know, I ran a self-awareness workshop program, challenge, 21 days for the people in my newsletter. And one of the questions I asked them was, how would you like to be remembered when you die? A number of them had never thought of that question. But when I asked myself the same question, I want to be remembered as someone who inspired people to live their best lives. That's how I want to be remembered. I don't want to be remembered as, one of the top 100 career women in Nigeria. That's great, but that's not how I want to be remembered. I want to be remembered as one who inspired people to live their best lives. And that vision is what drives me. That vision finds expression in my goals. Now, if you don't have a vision, you would find that it would be difficult to achieve your goal. Because goals are not an end in themselves. They are a means to an end. So where is that goal supposed to take you to? If you don't know, then there will be no driving force to achieve that goal. Another thing is, if you don't have a why is what would make you to put in the work. I already shared with you my why. I want my daughters to live in a world where there are no limits. The current world has limits, but the world in my house should not have limits, so that when my children grow up and leave the house, nobody is able to project any limits on them. That's my why. And that's why keeps me up at night. If you don't have a why that you are emotionally connected to, you will not see why that goal is important. So it's fun to write down your goals. 2023 is my year of greater things. My year of, why is it important to you? Why? Some of us just put down goals without knowing the why. So I have a friend. All these years, we've been telling her, oh yeah, now get fit. And then she goes to the gym. Sometimes she drops off. She spoke to me some weeks ago and she said, she sent me her Strava. She walks at least 5 kilometers every day. I'm like, yeah, what changed? And she's like, I just looked at my husband. My husband looks so young. He looks so fine. And I don't want to step out with this man and then they'll be thinking I'm his elder sister. That was her why. Yes, say hello. Say hello.
Hi. I think that's one of the things of being a mom. Everything is unpredictable.
Exactly. They had gone inside, but she came to report something to me. Okay. So she said, my husband is so fine, so young, and I don't want a situation where in the next few years, go out and you think I'm his elder sister. That is a why. These days, nobody reminds her to walk. In fact, she will send me 1 week, she did like 25 or 28 kilometers, 1 week. So you have to have a why that you're emotionally connected to. Now, when I guide my clients through this process of setting a why, when you sit down and ask yourself, why do I want this? The first answer you would get is typically not the core. So I want to be fit because I want to be healthy. That might be the first answer that you get. But because I want to be healthy may not necessarily be important to you. So ask yourself the next question, why do I want to be healthy? I want to be healthy so that I can live long. That may not have gotten to the core. So you ask yourself again, why do I want to live long? I want to live long because I want to witness my children's milestones, right? So for some people at that third level, it's already, oh, true, I'm a mom and my children will have milestones that I need to witness. So for every time that I keep fit, I am ensuring that I'm able to witness my children's milestones. But for some people, they may need to peel the onion another step. Why is it important to you to witness your children's milestones? You know, so you keep on peeling the onion until you get to a why that you are emotionally connected to. So the first thing is it's important to have a vision because your goals are not the end, they're the means to an end, and the end is your vision. Write the vision, make it plain upon tables that they may run that read it, right? It is the vision that you have that makes you run. So if there's no vision, if you're just wanting to live life day to day, then you will not achieve your goals. And then you must also be clear what it is that you want to achieve in this season of your life, right? For me, this season is, and maybe there's something that happens when you're almost turning 40. My friend says I have midlife crisis. Okay, you're welcome, patience. But I think it's just a period of realignment, right? So what is important to you in this season of your life? What is important to you? And it must be clear. You know, you were spot on when you said you ask people to set their goals in quarters. Because another thing that makes people not achieve their goals is when they have 1 million things. Time is limited, energy is limited, focus is limited. So what I already told us, my goal for year 36 was influence. Because even in that goal, there are a number of things that you have to do. So with influence is, so how can I make more people to know me, to like me, and to trust me? And then I have things like, okay, set up a newsletter, talk to them often, add value on social media, set up webinars, take on speaking engagements. So in that one goal, I've mentioned at least 4 things that I had to do. So how much more when you have 100 goals? Why? Why? Oh, wrong now. You know, so limit your goals. Limit your goals. It really helps. And be clear on what it is that you want to achieve. You know, one of the analogies I gave in that book is, if somebody just told you, oh yeah, Aramide, just start running. And yeah, I want, okay, so running to where? Just be running. When you get there, I will tell you that you've stopped, you've gotten there. What kind of life is that? So that's what happens when you don't know where it is that you want to go. You have goals, but where are these goals supposed to lead you to? It's important. And then another thing I find that limits people's achievement of their goals, because you said that people have already written their goals, but they're not able to take action, is they don't see how achieving that goal would benefit them. How will that, you need to sit down and ask, what is in it for me? At the end of the day, every human being is selfish. Everyone wants to know what is in it for me. So you need to sit down and write, what is in it for me when I do this? What is in it for me when I do that? It's a pain pleasure method. So what is the pain that would accrue to me if I don't do this? What is the pain that would accrue to others if I don't do this? What is the pleasure that would accrue to me if I do this? What is the pleasure that would accrue to others if I don't do this? By the time you sit down and do this exercise and write down these 4 things, the pain, the pleasure to you, the pain, the pleasure to others, then you will see why you should do it. Now, when it comes to tackling procrastination, the first thing that I say is ask yourself why you are procrastinating. Because procrastination is the same. Everybody might say, oh, we're 10 people in this room and the 10 of us are procrastinating, but there'll be different reasons why we're procrastinating. So why are you procrastinating? Why? Is it that you lack confidence to take action on those goals? Is it that you're just waiting for the perfect time? When the time is right, I will know and I will do it. Is it that You just cannot bring yourself to take action. Is it that you're scared of failure? Is it that you don't even know the next step to take? Is it that you're overwhelmed? You need to ask yourself, why am I procrastinating? Because it is the answer that will determine the next step. So if, for example, your procrastination is caused by, I have this goal, but I don't know the first step to take, then my answer to you would be one thing that I teach my clients. It's called the one thing hack. One thing hack. For every goal that you have, there is one thing that you can do to significantly accelerate the progress on that goal. One thing. So, for example, there was a time I found that I was getting dehydrated a lot, and I was asking myself, what can I do? And in line with the one thing hack, my one thing was take a water bottle with you everywhere you go. So if you see me, you would likely see me with a water bottle, right? Okay, so when I exhaust it, there's likely a dispenser close by that I can get water from. I'm not sitting down and saying, hey, God, why am I not drinking water? What's one thing can I do? At a point, it was, I'm not saving as much as I would like because I had a budget. Every single month, I draw up a budget. But I found, right, before this one thing, I found that I was not saving as much as I desired to save. So I asked myself again, what one thing can you do to help you to save more? And my answer was, use a savings platform that would automate the deduction. So I set a date, the same day my salary enters. It's wiped off my account. It's not asking, it's not coming to ask for permission. Edememe, you know your expenses this month are plenty. Should I take? Should I not take? It takes. Disrespectfully. You know, so that is one thing. If your procrastination is because you're not because you're not clear on what step you should take, ask yourself, what's one thing can I do to accelerate progress? When I said my goal was influence, I asked myself, what's one thing can I do? And it was add value on social media. That was the only thing I was focused on at that point. Speaking engagements came later, but the only thing I was focused on at that point was adding value on social media. If your procrastination is caused by the fear of failure, you need to sit down and ask yourself, what has failure cost me so far? You know, that is one exercise that I did, and it was a rude awakening for me, right? What is one thing that is fear of failure has cost me so far? I've lost opportunities because I was scared of failure. Wow. I've lost relationships because I was scared of failure. Write down the things that fear of failure has cost you, and you will find that there are a lot. Now, what's wrong with failing? What is wrong with failing? You need to come to a point where you see failure as a learning opportunity. When was it Thomas Edison that invented the light bulb, and he said he failed like 1,000 times? And he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I learned 1,000 ways to not do this. It's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. You know, at this part of the world is, why are you failing? Why are you failing? But you need to get to that point where you tell yourself it's okay to fail, and you go on and you do it regardless, right? If yours is, I'm not sure that I will get it right, then maybe you should be looking for help. Maybe you should be looking for help. It's possible there might be a knowledge gap. It's possible there might be a skills gap that you need to close up before you do this. So it's identify the cause of your procrastination. There's a cause, and it's not one cap fits all. Identify the cause of thank you, Aniola. Identify the cause of your procrastination. And in fact, maybe what I should do next, we don't have enough time to score for it, but maybe I will come up with another ebook for that, like different causes of procrastination and how to overcome each of those causes of procrastination. But it's important. You know, there's a vast life ahead of you. And procrastination is costing you that life. Every day I sit down and I tell myself, is this what I would have been missing on because I was scared to take action? You know, it's everything that you desire, everything that life that you envision. Because in the comfort of your house, when you're silent, your heart still goes back to what it is that you would love to do, what it is that would fulfill you, what it is that will make you glad, one thing that you want to do before you die. Imagine yourself doing that. That is the life that God called you to. And procrastination is stealing that life. It is stealing, and you're wondering, is it stealing the life? It's stealing the time. Time lost cannot be recovered. It's stealing the life. You might say, oh, I'm going to live till I'm 70. How do you know? How do you know? I don't want to get to heaven and God says, oh, Edememe, I planned that you do 1, 2, 3, 4. And I didn't do it. There are destinies that are tied to yours. That's another thing that keeps me awake at night. I said earlier that now I'm a night person. I never used to be a night person. But I'm like, there are people whose destinies are tied to my showing up. It's not about me. I'll be selfish if I think it's about me. It's not about me. God didn't send me here for me. God sent me here for other people, and their destinies are tied to mine. All of us on this call, our destinies are tied to Aramides. If she did not do this, I've been seeing the lovely comments. If she did not do this, how would you have gotten everything that you have learned today? That's the same way there are destinies that are waiting for you to show up. And for every day that you hold back, then those people are languishing. Those people are languishing in the same problems that you could have solved. You should feel guilty by now. Because you have the solution that someone requires. You have the help that somebody has been praying to God for. God is not going to descend from heaven. He's put it in you. So show up. It doesn't have to be, one thing that people do is, oh, I want to hit it big. Why do you need to hit it big? Start small and move on. For every time that you make progress on your goals, what you're doing is you're reinforcing your identity as someone who can get things done. So that's why it's important to take the little steps. Because at the end of the day, Aramide said we're not playing for the short term, it's for the long haul. And the long haul, all of this will come together to build the kind of life that you're building. But it has to be, every day you have got to be making an investment in that life. When people say Rome was not built in a day, I saw someone that says, yes, Rome was not built in a day, but they were setting the bricks every day. So every day, make sure that you're setting the bricks into that kind of life. Don't let procrastination ruin you. You must get to the point where you are not ruled by your feelings. You must get to that point where you are driven by your vision. I lost a dear friend on Wednesday, and I've had colleagues checking up on me since Wednesday because they know how close we were. This morning, Aramide, when you were trying to reach me, that's why you couldn't reach me. We had gone to see her family. And it's a very painful period for me. And if I could, I would have asked Aramide to reschedule. But I am not led by my feelings. There are people here who are depending on what it is that I'm going to say today. And so I will show up for them. You cannot be led by your feelings. If you're looking to live a great life, you cannot be led by your feelings. You must also be disciplined. You'll hear this today and think, oh, wow, you live here motivated. But motivated is not enough. You have got to put in the work. And even if it's going to be imperfect, it is fine. Because like I said, you're reinforcing your identity as someone who takes action. For every time that you procrastinate, you're telling yourself that you don't deserve the kind of life that you have. And so what will happen when you get opportunities is you will pass on those opportunities because you have built a reputation in your mind that you don't deserve it. And that's how limiting beliefs build. Oh, somebody said this, you took it on as an identity, but there's also the part of you not keeping the promises that you make to yourselves. We're quick to make promises to others and we'll run through hoops to keep those promises. But when we come to ourselves, we don't give ourselves the same because we don't think that we matter. You have got to be selfish. You matter. And for every time that you break promises that you make to yourself, you're setting yourself up as somebody who cannot be trusted. You're setting yourself up as somebody who cannot be trusted. Is it not yesterday she made that promise? What did you do? So you have got to be disciplined. You have got to be disciplined. Ask yourself, what is it that I will do today? For some people, it helps with attaching rewards. Or if I'm able to do this, then I will give myself this. At a point, I had to get to that because there were so many things that I wanted to do. And then I told myself, if you're able to do this, you get a girl's trip. I wanted a girl's trip all my life. And so when I did that thing, I rewarded myself with a girl's trip. So if you need to set rewards, or if I do this, I will get this reward. If I do this, I'll get this reward. That's fine. What's important is that you start moving. By the time you take one step and then you see the impact, you will take the next step. You see the impact, you will take the next step. But most of us are waiting to be motivated before we start. Motivation comes when you start. After you start, motivation doesn't come before you start. Motivation is the result of momentum. Okay, I could go on and on.
Oh, my seat is hot. Oh my God. Like if I was a participant on this call, I would have literally just started jumping and screaming because wow, like if I was wearing a wig, I'd not straight away because what what's this? All of you that are sitting at a procrastination table, they've shattered it, right?
Yes.
They've shattered it for you. And for me, it's just like how wow. Thank you for showing up today because if you hadn't, all of these things that you said, I feel like this wisdom is just so weighty, right? And a lot of people are going to move with momentum after this session, right? So thank you for showing up today. Thank you. Thank you. You didn't have to. Yeah, if you had sent me a message, I would have been like, okay, I understand. And would have found a way, right? But you showed up. And you've made such a huge difference in just how many minutes, right? And we're also grateful. Thank you for showing up today. Wow. What did she say? Procrastination stealing your life. Be disciplined. Procrastination is stealing your life. And I like that you mentioned that you don't have to wait for motivation. When you run, motivation will come. It follows momentum, right? And last week I was having a session with some amazing ladies in my circle. Some of them are on this call, right? On Monday. And we're talking about how I put out a fundraiser. So we're starting a school for children in low-income communities. And so I put out a fundraiser. And I remember the fundraiser on the plan is meant to go out on Monday, right? It's meant to go out by 6 p.m. on Monday. And I remember that evening, around like 5:50, my caption for the post was not ready. The post was not ready. And I couldn't come up with it because I was afraid. I had to call my friend and I was like, Odnaka, what will I do? This thing is hard. I don't know how to. I was not getting anything. I was so scared. And I remember her telling me that I can do this thing. I can do this thing. And I feel like that was all I needed because at that moment, I was already like, let me just do this thing on Tuesday. And in my head, I was even telling her that so that she will allow me that Tuesday is even the better time to fundraise, not Monday. Tuesday is the best time to start a fundraiser. Because on Monday, people are starting their week and you're slapping them with a fundraiser, right? But then it was like, she was like, no, you can't sabotage. You need to take it because it's in you. You just need to put it out there. And I put it out there on Monday. And yesterday night, I was lying down on my bed and, just reflecting on how my week had been. And I was so grateful that I took that step, right? And something I wanted to, talk about that made me to share this story, just to add into what you have said, is how important, if you want to deal with procrastination, something that is very important is accountability. You need accountability, right? You need accountability. I feel like it's good that you set the foundation, the mindset on how to battle procrastination. When you procrastinate, you are stealing your life, literally. You are the one that is stealing your dream from yourself. And wherever you are right now, you're the one who is responsible for it. So if you don't want to be where you are right now, or if you want to move faster in the future, then you need to take the steps so that when it's more predictable. Do you understand? Compared to when you get to the future and it's all, it's all new, right? But every action and decision that you're taking today, the intentional actions and decisions that you take today accumulates to now give you the kind of future that you want, right? And so if you want to overcome procrastination, aside from having this mindset, because sometimes you will not always feel like I am stealing my life. Sometimes when you want to procrastinate, it will not come to your mind that I'm stealing my life. But then when you have structures in place, because I had already told my friend Odnaka that this thing is going out today, when it had not gone out, by 6:05, sent me a message. I have not seen the post. 6:10, she reached out again. She kept reaching out until that post went out, right? But then if not for that structure that put there, so make sure you have an accountability structure that goes above you, So that even when you want to defile yourself, like even if when you want to defile your own rules and be have in whatever you want to do, there is a structure that aligns you, right? People usually say that, okay, when you travel out, right? Unlike Nigeria, when you're in Nigeria, people can be driving on the road and then they can throw death on the road. But when you leave the country, probably you go to the US, you can't do that because you are bound by structure. It's very difficult. It's not because you don't have it in you to do that. It's not because you don't have it in you to litter, right? But because there's a structure. So if you want to deal with procrastination, something that's important to have is an accountability structure that helps you to show up when you should show up without someone that will not accommodate the excuses and the lies that you tell to yourself in your little corner. Someone that will not fall for those lies. You need that kind of person in your space, right? So it is important that this mindset of procrastination is settled in, right? And I feel like, after this session, just go back and watch the replay again and take it in and let it sit again. That whenever you procrastinate, you are taking your life out. Like you're saying that this is what I want, but I don't deserve it right now. So I'm going to do this other thing, or I'm not going to do it at all, right? And then how can you now get to where you need that thing, the output of that thing that you should have done, and you're surprised that you're not getting the required output, right? So it is important that this procrastination this year, please, let's deal with it once and for all. And there's no magic anywhere. It's discipline, right? It's discipline. So I have quite a number of questions here, but because our time is running out, I just want to ask one more question, right? So someone was asking that there are many times that you want to achieve your goals, but you face a lot of challenges in the process. So, for someone now, maybe they plan to do something, but they lost someone, or something happened, an unforeseeable circumstance just came up. How do you follow through in spite of challenges? Can you just quickly share with us if there was any time in your life where you had to achieve a goal that was very important to you, but then you faced an unforeseeable challenge? How do you follow through? How do you have that staying power to follow through on your goals, even when you face challenges?
I think it's important to first give yourself grace. Yes, this has happened. Yes, this will alter my life in some way. Give yourself grace. If it happens to someone else, you'd likely give this person grace. So extend the same grace to yourself. Give yourself grace. But then you need to ask yourself, I feel like grieving should have a period. So even if this happens and you decide to grieve for 1 month, because when people are grieving, sometimes it's, I don't want to do anything. I just want to be holed up in some corner by myself. That's fine. Give yourself grace. But then there needs to be a hard stop. When am I going to move out of this phase and do something else? When am I going to move out of this phase and continue with my goals? It might be a situation that requires you to take 1 month off, 3 months off. That's fine, but there must be a hard stop when you have to continue. And the things that would help you to continue are the same things that I spoke about, and also the one that you added, having an accountability partner. That is so important. And it really helps me. My husband is like my chief accountability partner. I have another accountability partner where I put money down. Yeah, I remember, if you don't do this, you're going to lose this money. And it has to be money that can pay you, not 5K that you can afford to lose. It has to be money that if you were to lose, it would really pain you. But if something unforeseen happens, give yourself grace. Go through the morning and all of that. But if possible, try to find a way to tie that morning to your larger why. Also, this person is dead. What would this person have wanted? Would this person have wanted me to continue to, would this person have wanted me to just stop living? Or can I honor this person even in death by continuing to show up?
Wow.
And that's what I said to myself this morning. Can I honor Adiola in death by showing up today? Yeah, so it's, give yourself grace. Yes, cry and all of that. Grieve, but there has to be a hard stop to the grief. And see if you can tie that grief to your goal so that it motivates you to take that goal. If you still have issues with showing up, then have an accountability partner. Have an accountability partner that would push you, that would support you. Sometimes a friend can do that, right? But sometimes it has to be somebody who will not be moved, right? So some people join accountability clubs where you have a coach who would ensure that you show up regardless, just in case your friends can't work. But extend yourself grace, go through the period of grieving, but remember that you still have a life that's waiting for you to show up, and you can't keep that life waiting forever.
Yeah. Wow, that's so powerful. So even when you're grieving, just make sure that there's it's okay to cry and feel, right?
Yeah.
You're human, but then make sure that there's a stop to it, and using that grief as a propeller, right, to move ahead, which is so powerful. And I know that, just as we were talking, you also answered one question, because someone else was asking that, how do you create a system of accountability even when you don't have friends, right? So it's you can look out for accountability groups, right? And if you have one, because I know you're a goal achievement coach, you can just share in the chat how they can come on in and join in. Yeah, but I know that Edememe mentioned that she has a gift for everyone who is a participant on today's session. So I know that she's going to go ahead to quickly share about it just before we close out.
Okay. For the accountability coaching, mine is going live in June, right? But mine would be a function of career women in their 30s who are looking to achieve their personal goals for their 40s. And I recognize that not everybody in this group falls into that bucket. So one of the groups that I'm going to join, it's an accountability group as well, is IBO Execution Circle. So if you go on Instagram and you look for Imade, IMADE _ Oswobeni, she runs an execution club, which I highly recommend. Yeah, so, and it's 60,000 for a quarter, 60,000 for 3 months. So that's like 20K. And at the end of the 3 months, you can look back and say, oh, I was able to tick this. So I think it's a worthy trade-off, more than worthy trade-off. Yeah, so at Imade _ Oswobeni. So talking about the book, right? The book is titled 5 Costly Mistakes That Are Holding You Back from Achieving Your Goals. So in that book, I put together 5 costly mistakes that I've seen people make that hold them back from achieving their goals. Now, it's a 12-page book, and I did not stop at just saying the goals, saying what it is that the mistakes are. I also put in tips that would help you to overcome those mistakes. So if you're reading the book and you find that, oh, I identify with this mistake, I'm making this mistake, right in the same book, you will see what it is that you can do to undo those mistakes, right? So I made it very light. It's no fluff. It's straight to the point. I also have my story in it so that you can see that if I can do it, you can do it as well. It's 12-page, but trust me, it is so impactful. I've sent it to some people. I haven't launched it formally, but I thought it'd be important to share with everyone on this call. But it's impactful, trust me. Everyone who I've sent it to was like, wow, there's so much wisdom in 12 pages, right? So get your copy of the book. It's free. Like I said, this year is the year of impact. So for me, it's making a difference. I want people to say, oh, thank God for Edememe. Edememe did this. Edememe changed my life. Yeah, so read that book and get back to me with your testimonials.
All right.
Because I know there will be testimonials. Do I share the link in the chat box? Oh,
yes,
you shared it already. Thank you.
Yes, so I'll also share it to everyone who has registered, just so that they can have it in their, in their emails as well. Thank you so much, Edememe, for sharing. Everything you shared has been so impactful for every single one of us. And okay, if you register, don't worry, I'll share the link to your email so you can get it. Yeah, so everything you shared has been super helpful for us. And one thing that I'm taking away is how procrastination is stealing my life. And all I need to be is just to be disciplined, right, to execute and do what I have to do, right? And it's so important that we all deal with procrastination, and I'm glad that you have helped us to address it today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's session. So again, I'm going to share the ebook, 5 Costly Mistakes That People Make When They Want to Achieve Their Goals by Edememe. I'll share it to our email so that we can have access to it and we can read it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Let's join in for next week's session, which is the last, but not the least, in our goal setting masterclass. I hope that the masterclass has been super insightful for everyone here, right? Next week, we're going to be having Temilade Salami joining us, and she's going to be sharing about goal setting in general, and also going to be touching about motivation, right? How do you show up excellently even when you don't feel motivated? That's the focus of our conversation next week. So please make sure you join in. Invite your friends, invite your loved ones, invite your, people that you're rooting for this year, and make sure that as you're going into the week, this coming week, make sure that every single thing you're learning here, you're executing it, right? In last week's session, I shared how you can move yourself to execution even after learning. So go and watch the replay. I will share the link where all the replays are going to be, so that you can watch last week's session and get the audio template I shared on how you can execute, move from listening and all this, all the insights and light bulb moments you've gotten here, to now executing and getting results, because that's the most important thing out of everything we're doing here today. So thank you so much, Edememe. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm going to share the book. I'm going to share the replay with you as soon as this conversation is over, so that you can go back, sit with it, and let everything that has been shared sink in again and again. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's have a great week ahead. Bye.
Bye.